Robbi Lew has given another interview with Joey Ingram, which was very revealing in a number of ways, so in this video we're going to summarize and break down the most pertinent points. Perhaps the most compelling new piece of evidence that came out of the interview was an allegation that Brian S. has stolen from others at Hustler Casino in the past, and this was corroborated by someone in the chat named Poker Girl, who apparently spoke with Nick Verducci directly.
And I got a call from Hustler Casino saying, "Hey Robbi, we can't tell you what to do, but we have extra evidence, new information that this particular person that you forgave on Thursday has committed what looks like additional levels of theft with Hustler Casino staff, Hustler Casino live staff, as well as potentially other people in the casino at the time while he was working."
If this is true, it destroys the central, most compelling piece of evidence of Robbi's guilt. This was the magic key that linked someone that had whole card access to Robbi, under the theory that Brian swiping $15K in chips from her stack was him taking his cut for sharing that information with her. But if Brian stole from others as well, indiscriminately, that link becomes much more attenuated. Robbi also indicated that she's taking various other steps to clear her name, including being administered a lie detector test in Vegas, pressing charges against Brian, and turning her phone over to the police to confirm that the infamous DMs allegedly sent by Brian are real. Now we'll have to wait to see the results of these things, but if all of this happens, it will definitely be persuasive for her defense. During the interview, she also reiterated that she misread her hand, and that she only changed her story because others had advised her to do so, since she looked at her cards multiple times before calling. Now this may seem implausible to some, but to me this is actually the most likely explanation. To begin with, apparently Robbi goes around completely smashed 24/7, including when she's playing poker. And having played a number of times with my own girlfriend after she's had a few drinks, I can tell you that the drunker she gets, the greater the disconnect becomes between her actions at the table and the thoughts going on in her brain. It could very well be the case that looking at her cards was almost like a nervous twitch, where when she looked down, her mind was actually someplace else. For example, like on how her hair appeared on stream. If you watch her mannerisms during the hand, it's very clear that she was 100% consciously projecting an image the whole time, which will occupy your attention. And that would also explain how she was able to maintain a facade after flipping over her hand and realizing that she misread it. Also, although it's very easy to make up stories and to lie after the fact, it's much more difficult to do so in the midst of a high-pressure moment. This means that her words and actions during the hand itself will most likely be the truest representations of her actual thoughts at the time. This is why present state of mind is an exception to the hearsay rule in courts. And in this hand, she asked Garrett if he could beat a 3, and she also says that she thought he had ace high. Both of these statements support the idea that she misread her hand, and I think people give her too much credit to assume that she was quick enough on her feet to throw out these statements as false tells based on her having Jack 3 the hand before. That all being said, although Robbi may be innocent of the specific allegation of cheating in the Jack 4 hand, there were other things that occurred during the interview which reinforce the idea that she's likely a typical vapid, soulless LA ghoul. First of all, she notes that she hired a PR firm. She claims that this move wasn't because she wants to turn her fame into profit, and that if she really wanted to do that, she would just go down the Kim Kardashian sex tape route. Okay, to begin with, I'm sorry honey, but comparing a prime 23-year-old Kim Kardashian to your 38-year-old ass simply is not valid. Additionally, the whole point of a PR team is to create a business out of a public persona. She also insists over and over that she didn't ask for any of this, and that she hates being scrutinized, but that hasn't stopped her from doing tons of interviews and commenting publicly on the subject over and over again. Robbi also, I think, revealed her true character during the part of the interview where she ordered Julie Yorn to join the discussion to address the allegations Julie made regarding her past interactions with Robbi. In short, according to Julie, during a 25-50-100 game at the bike, Robbi sat down declaring that she was buying in for the minimum of 5K, but played for a while without chips, which apparently was against the rules of this game. And Robbi's explanation of what occurred here was frankly very bizarre. For one, she thought she had played with Julie twice, but according to Julie, it was only once. She then insisted that she bought in for 20K, but according to Julie, it was only 5K. She also talked about how she couldn't withdraw money at the time because her debit card has a different name than her license. And it was at this point in the interview that Robbi became very defensive and aggressive, lashing out at Julie.
You have to
But
work.
Robbi, listen, you and I had never met before.
I left with nothing, Julie. I won nothing that night. And I didn't leave like a sour little bitch like Garrett did either. It's 20K. And you won. You took my money. 100%. What are you fucking bitching about?
I wasn't bitching. I wasn't bitching.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what the hell is your argument here? You literally went all in with me and took all my stack. Congratulations, honey. You won it fair and square.
Hey, Robbi.
And then for the remainder of the interview, she basically just goes on a lengthy monologue about how she's a victim in a male-dominated space. Now, this is pure speculation, but my takeaway from Robbi's reaction to Julie is that this story really hit a sore spot as it brings into question Robbi's financial wherewithal to buy into these high-stakes games. It could very well be the case that Robbi is a typical fake LA clout chaser that's constantly seeking fame, money, and attention, and will say and do anything to achieve that. In LA, it's not uncommon to see some dude roll into a club in a Ferrari, buy several $1,000 bottles of champagne, and then return home to his $3,000 a month apartment that he shares with 5 other dudes. Robbi asserts in the interview that she's just having fun playing poker and that she's a whale, but Julie's story contradicts that image, as well as the fact that Robbi had to be bankrolled into the hustler game. I know quite a few rich people, and the notion that they would accept a free roll or a loan to be bankrolled into a 100K game does not seem very plausible. So where do we currently stand? Well, I think we need to wait to see the outcome of her lie detector test, whether or not she actually presses charges against Brian, and official confirmation from Hustler on whether or not Brian stole from others. If all of these facts fall in her favor, objectively, I think you have to tilt the needle towards innocence. But again, that is only with respect to her super using during the Jack-4 hand. As a person, she seems to be rather unstable and somewhat vile. And she also admitted to colluding with Rip during the game, so at a minimum, just based on that alone, she should not be allowed back on the Hustler live stream or any other stream indefinitely.